Quote of the day: even the smallest spark can light up the darkest room. So don't be afraid to be someone's tiny flame today. You might just set their whole sky aglow. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good work and glorify your Father which is in heaven. Matthew chapter 5 verse 16. That is the quote of the day. Now let's get right into this video. Now this episode of Smackdown was complete and utter garbage, dude. This garbage was trash, and this trash was garbage. We literally got glitter covered dookie for an episode. This was so bad and so pointless and so meaningless. It's not even funny. And what pissed me off even more is that the only exciting part of the show that we got, was supposed to be the main event, and the main event turned out to be such a massive disappointment with how it ended. Oh my god, like it was hyped up throughout the whole night. Oh, John Cena and Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre, Logan Paul. Dude, I was so excited for that. I'm like, if this is the only good thing we're gonna get tonight, I'll just enjoy it for what it is. But no, we couldn't even get that. My god. And some of the segments and the promos and the matches, dude, I'm like, who's writing this stuff? Jesus. So this show, it kicked off with a John Cena in-ring promo. Nothing of meaning or importance really happened on this show. Nothing happened on this show. Nothing was advanced. Nothing new happened. We didn't see anything new, anything different. This show was just like all the rest. Skippable, pointless, and meaningless. Man, it bothered me so much. Let's just go right into this review. This video does not need to be long at all. So John Cena comes out, John Cena's officially babyface. He officially turned back to a babyface. So it is confirmed. We got a straight down the middle John Cena babyface promo. All the colors back, everything back. So John Cena's back. We got the real John Cena, So the whole thing of last week, was it a hoax? Was it just, part of the story? Was it, was it a work if that John Cena was turning face or not? It wasn't a work. It wasn't part of the story. It wasn't a plot. It seems like we got the real John Cena back and John Cena's officially babyface. And I'm kind of disappointed how it happened, Like, I thought John Cena was going to have this whole arc where he tries to redeem himself and, try to work back to the fans, graces, their good books, trying to get himself where he was again, redeem himself. I know, like, the fans would be behind John Cena regardless, but, like, story-wise, he disrespected the fans. He said a lot of things. He called the fans toxic. He broke up with us, he broke our hearts. So I thought he was going to have, like, a whole arc where, he at least one episode where he tries to win back the fans, and stuff like that. But no, last week was the official face turn, and this week just confirmed it. So basically, I guess WWE realized the whole John Cena turning heel thing, it was a garbage move. It was a stupid move. It was a meaningless move, and it was just for literally cheap pop and just for the moment and for views, literally. That's what WWE realized, and I guess they realized that they literally royally messed up John Cena's whole retirement tour with that whole pointless, horrendous, atrocious heel turn and that whole soulless final Boston Travis Scott stuff. I guess they realized that, they messed up John Cena's tour with it. So this is their way of, like, backtracking, and I guess they're just praying and hoping that the fans completely forget the whole arc. We got that whole nonsense, So basically on this show, just like Cody Rhodes' theme song says, they threw it all away. Whoa. Yeah, so WWE just basically threw away the whole John Cena heel thing. That was it, straight down the drain. Throw it away. Whatever happened before this doesn't matter. John Cena's face now, and they just threw it all away. Anyhow, let's get into the promo. So John Cena comes out, he's basking in the moment, he's enjoying the fans, popping for him, he's enjoying the reactions, the fans chanting, "Thank you, Cena," and stuff like that. The fans were really behind John Cena. It's really apparent, it's been apparent even in his heel stuff. So, it was really nice to see him get his big moment as a babyface, what he really deserves. But yeah, John Cena comes out and he basically lets it be known that, after this, he only has 11 appearances left. So after tonight, John Cena only shows up 11 more times, and he says it's now, when the numbers are dwindling down, it's finally starting to sink in. It's finally starting to hit him, that he literally only has 11 appearances left. John Cena says how grateful he is for the fans, for the opportunity he got, for everything that's happened throughout his career and stuff like that. He gives a nice little heartfelt, message that, he's grateful for the fans. Thank you for everything. But he says, all that aside, the last time is now, and the real champion is still here, The real champ is here, and he's gonna go down fighting. He's not gonna go down without a fight. And he says any superstar backstage who has a John Cena problem, line up, step up, and they're gonna get dealt with, and that includes you too, Brock Lesnar. Whenever you want some, come get some. The champ is here. And that's basically what he says, And then after this, I kind of expected Brock Lesnar to come out because it was quiet for a moment, and John Cena was just looking around, and I thought maybe we were going to get Brock Lesnar showing up and they were going to continue the story. But no, we got Logan Paul instead. So Logan Paul comes out, And he says, John Cena, you used to be so real. I used to believe in you. Now I don't even recognize you. Unlike you, I've never switched up. I've never switched sides. And then the crowd starts booing him, like trying to boo him out the building. And Logan Paul's like, stop booing me. John Cena himself, he said this himself, that Logan Paul is the greatest wrestler alive, even better than John Cena himself, And then Logan Paul proceeds to challenge John Cena to a match at Clash in Paris. And I'm like, dude, I can't be the only one who's not too excited about the prospect of this match. Really? John Cena versus Logan Paul, Clash in Paris? And let me put this in a less professional way. WWE, we do not care about John Cena versus Logan Paul. We do not care about this nonsense. Nobody wants Logan Paul anywhere near John Cena's retirement tour, man. We don't want this nonsense. This is not the rivalry we want. This is not the feud we want. We do not care. Jesus Christ, this man has 11 appearances left, and you want to waste one of them on Logan Paul? He already did a whole story and a whole segment with Logan Paul. Let that be that. We don't need this nonsense. John Cena has 11 appearances left. Make them count, dude. Jesus Christ. Who wants to see this? I don't. You don't. Like, come on. But anyhow, though, after all that is said and done, Drew McIntyre shows up and he blindsides John Cena. Logan Paul and Drew McIntyre end up jumping John Cena and they end up beating him down. And for whatever reason, Cody Rhodes comes out to aid of John Cena. And I know John Cena's a babyface. Cody Rhodes is a babyface, so it kind of makes sense. But it also doesn't make sense because you guys were literally just feuding. Like, you've said the most heinous things to one another. You've brutally beat down each other. You've attacked each other and stuff like that. So I'm like, Cody Rhodes coming out to aid of John Cena this soon is a little bit too early for me, But anyhow, though, after all that is said and done, the brawl happens. It's announced that tonight we're gonna get a huge main event. It was gonna be Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul versus Cody Rhodes and John Cena in the main event. And I was so excited for this. And the main event turned out to be such a disappointment, like I said, man. Jesus. But anyhow, though, after that whole opening segment, we got to our first match of the night, and it was Motor City Machine Guns versus the Solo Sikoa MFTs. It was Talatunga and JC Mateo versus Motor City Machine Guns. And throughout this whole entire match, the MFTs, they were just constantly getting out-wrestled and out-maneuvered and outsmarted. I'm like, dude, this team doesn't even look strong. They don't look valid. They don't look like you have two powerhouses in the ring, JC Mateo and Talatunga, and you're telling me they can't even just ragdoll Motor City Machine Guns around the whole arena? They need help from Tangaloa to get the upper hand match. I'm like, dude, make it make sense. They're powerhouses. They're supposed to look strong. They're supposed to look dominant. And you're telling me they can't beat Motor City Machine Guns by themselves. Mind you, Motor City Machine Guns, they're injured. They're taped up. Their ribs are taped up. They're injured from the ladder match. Their shoulders are messed up. And you're telling me they're still struggling to beat Motor City Machine Guns. And you want us to believe that this team is a threat? Come on. And to make matters worse, even Solo Sikoa, he lost on this episode too again. I'm like, dude. Anyhow, the MFTs did end up winning the match, and they did end up picking up the win due to a huge choke slam from Talatunga. But like I said, though, this match didn't do this team any favors. It didn't make this team look any more serious, any more strong, any stronger, any more solid, any more valid. None of that. 80% of this match occurred in a picture-in-picture commercial break. So most of this match, I couldn't even watch it because it was in a tiny screen and it was commercial breaks. So even if I wanted to enjoy this match, even if I wanted to watch it, I literally couldn't because of WWE. It was literally a picture-in-picture commercial break for this whole entire match. So I don't even know if it was good or not. But the parts I did see, it wasn't good. Okay. But anyhow, though, after this, Solo Sikoa gets on the mic and he just starts trash talking Montreal, Canada, and he says he wants to fight, but the people of Montreal don't deserve it, and Solo Sikoa doesn't want to fight in this terrible city, this terrible place, blah blah blah. And then general manager Nick Aldis ends up coming on and he sets up a match for Solo Sikoa. So the match is set up that it will be Sami Zayn versus Solo Sikoa. And I'm like, I know why Sami Zayn is here, but it doesn't make sense. I don't care if he's Canadian. He's not on the show. He's not on Friday Night Smackdown. Okay, so whatever. But anyhow, we got to the match, and it was Sami Zayn versus Solo Sikoa. And the crowd was very lively, and the crowd was very active throughout this whole entire match. They were very much so rallied behind Sami Zayn, understandably so, Now, the match itself, it wasn't anything crazy or anything memorable, but it was fun, I think. I don't know. Maybe, man, like I said, this show was not even memorable at all. This show was terrible. This match, I think it was mid. Let's keep it 100. This match was mid, okay? I'm not even going to add any extra sprinkles with any extra glitter, any extra... This match was mid. It was just the crowd that was fun. But in the end of it all, though, Sami Zayn ended up picking the win over Solo Sikoa due to a roll-up. Sami Zayn rolls up the leader of the NXT, Solo Sikoa, the United States champion, Solo Sikoa. Sami Zayn rolls him up for the win. Solo Sikoa once again eats another L. He eats another pinfall. After this, we got a very awkward and weird in-ring promo segment from both Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair. This was so weird. I don't know. It felt forced. It felt unrefined. It felt messy. And like I said, this segment was so awkward, It was supposed to be like a Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss were not friends type of segment, and also Charlotte Flair trying to throw a little celebration for Alexa Bliss's upcoming birthday. She's trying to do something nice. She brought a cake. She brought gifts. But it just all felt off. It felt meaningless, first of all, and secondly, it wasn't even funny. It just felt awkward. It was so awkward that it was funny, you know? Like, it just didn't make sense, and like the lines weren't hitting, they weren't delivering them like they should. There was no jokes. It just felt awkward. And like the moment just felt drawn out. And I'm like, it felt like Charlotte Flair was trying to make something out of nothing, you know? I don't know. This was just awkward overall. And here's where the real head scratcher comes in. This promo segment somehow led to a Charlotte Flair versus Chelsea Green match. And I'm like, huh? What? What business does Chelsea Green even have to be out here? I'm like, dude, how does this even lead to a Charlotte Flair and Chelsea Green match? Make it make sense. But anyhow, though, after that promo segment, we got the Charlotte Flair and Chelsea Green match. And I don't even know what this match was. All I know is that Chelsea Green lost because she got her face bashed into a cake. Food cake. Cake, dessert cake. That's why she lost, because they shoved her face into a cake. That's why Chelsea Green lost. This match was not memorable at all. This match wasn't anything special, anything crazy, anything unique. Like, I was literally actively forgetting all the spots that were happening as I was watching. I see something, I was like, oh, then I forget it next second. That's how boring it was. That's how meaningless it was. Like, the spots weren't even fun or creative. Like, this was such a boring mid-match, dude. Like, I'm not even sure what this match was. But the most I can say about this was definitely a match, and it definitely happened on SmackDown. It definitely happened today, okay? That's the most I could say. Besides that, no compliments, no nothing. This was mid, this was meaningless, this was pointless, and like I said, Chelsea Green lost because she got her face smashed into a cake. After this, we got a backstage segment that was really infuriating. For some reason, the backstage segment involved, Jade Cargill, she gets a clear invitation to challenge Julia for the Women's United States Championship, Julia shows up with her, assistant or her manager, I guess. They show up, they're like, if you ever want a shot at this US title, here's our card, just let us know and we'll set up the match. And for some reason, Jade Cargill declines an opportunity to face off against Julia for the Women's United States Championship. I'm like, this would have been a really good move for Jade Cargill, and I wouldn't even mind her winning it. It would look good on her. It would boost up, the face of this championship and stuff like that. And I'm like, what do you mean Jade Cargill is declining a U.S. championship match for the U.S. championship title? Like, she's never even held a singles championship in WWE yet. She hasn't held the singles championship in WWE. And this time she gets one handed to her and she says no. Is Jade too good for the U.S. championship or something? Like, come on. Like, dude, she's only held the tag team championship and you tell me you get an opportunity for the U.S. championship and you decline it. Like, come on. You're telling me Jade Cargill is too big, she's too much of a star to be facing off against Julia for the U.S. Championship, to win the U.S. Championship? Like, what is this nonsense? And to make matters worse, she passes off the opportunity over to Mia Chen, I don't know what her name is, but she passes off the opportunity to Mia Chen. I don't know if it's him or if it's Chen, it's one or the other, but she passes off the opportunity to Mia Chen for the U.S. Championship match. I'm like, nobody wants to see this, first of all. Secondly, you're telling me Jade Cargill can't compete for the championship. She's too big for it. She's too much of a star for it. Come on, WWE. Dude, Julia versus Jade Cargill would have been a nice rivalry. It would have been fun. It would have been something new. But nope, not in WWE. You want good stuff? Go find it elsewhere. Jesus Christ. But after this, we got another backstage segment. It was pretty hilarious, but also very infuriating. It was a backstage segment between John Cena and R-Truth. And yes, I'm saying specifically R-Truth for a reason, and you'll see why. So basically, John Cena and R-Truth bump into each other, and R-Truth basically tells John Cena, you're back. If John Cena's back, then R-Truth is back. And that was basically the whole segment, R-Truth saying if the real John Cena is back, then the real R-Truth is back. So basically, this proves that WWE had no plans for Ron Killings. And this whole Ron Killings character was just scrapped, They was just thrown away, straight down the drain. The whole idea of it was just thrown away because R-Truth said, if the real John Cena is back, then the real R-Truth is back. So he's back to his goofy shtick, his goofy promos, his goofy segments. There's no more Ron Killings, apparently. And like I said, WWE just scrapped the whole character and just threw the whole thing away. And this was what, this promo basically solidified and justified, And we literally got the actual goofy R-Truth back. So it seems like that whole I'm driving now thing, if you want the truth, here's the truth, that whole stuff, that whole arc is just thrown away. Doesn't matter. Forget about it. It was all for nothing. And I'm like, come on, dude. Come on. Like, you're just wasting our time at this point. And WWE is actively wasting our time on this nonsense, and then a few weeks down the line, they're like, yeah, we wasted your time, and here's the proof we wasted your time. Eat it up, move on. We wasted your time, and there you go. Here's the receipt that we wasted your time. Come on, dude. That whole Ron Killings R-Truth thing was so entertaining. Tell me, just throw it away. The real Johnson is back, so the real R-Truth is back. This shows WWE had no plans for R-Truth, no plans for Ron Killings, nothing. This man literally faced off against Aleister Black. He won and disappeared for 3 weeks just to show up to get the goofy R-Truth back. What's next? What's next? But anyhow, after this, we got to main event. The most disappointing part of the match, honestly, because I was so hyped up for it. They were promoting this, like they promoted this at least 5 times throughout this night, 5 different times talking about some here's the main event, John Cena, Logan Paul, Drew McIntyre, Cody Rhodes. They were promoting it, and I was so excited. I'm like, dude, we haven't seen anything in the main event this big in a while. And it was such a huge disappointment. Oh my god. But let's get into what happened, So like I said, the main event, it was Logan Paul and Drew McIntyre versus the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, and the greatest of all time, the never seen 17, John Cena, the last real champion, And like I said, this match was terrible. This was a very quick match at that too. I swear it started at like 9:50, like literally 10 minutes for this match to play out. This match was very quick, like I said. We barely even saw John Cena, and John Cena was the highlight of it. It was supposed to be the highlight. Like, John Cena tagged in, he literally only did the 5 moves of doom, and that was it. That was literally it. That's all you saw from John Cena. He just hit the 5 moves of doom, the 4 moves of doom, and that was basically it. Like I said, this match ended very quickly in a no contest at that. After Logan Paul hit John Cena with a low blow, that's how the match ends. You get this match, you have Cody Rhodes, John Cena, Logan Paul, and Drew McIntyre in the main event, and the match ends in a no contest. Come on, dude. We just can't get anything good. The fans can't get anything. Like, golly. Jesus Christ. But after this happens, after the no contest call is called, we get a huge brawl between Logan Paul and John Cena and Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes. And Drew McIntyre ends up, leaving Cody Rhodes laid out, and he claymores Cody Rhodes through the announcer's table. So it's basically playing that, I guess, Drew McIntyre's Cody Rhodes' next opponent and stuff like that. And like, I'm not too excited for this. I'm like, it's cool. I'll definitely be, tuning in for it, but like, I'm not too excited for it. Okay? But whatever. I'm glad Drew McIntyre's getting his opportunity. I'm glad he's back in the main event scene, it looks like. But we all know Drew McIntyre's not winning this match. Cody Rhodes is not losing the championship anytime soon. So, we already know this is a filler arc. It doesn't really matter. But like I said, though, dude, I was so excited for this match. I was pumped up. I was looking forward to it. I was like, dude, this main event seems like some old, pure vintage WWE stuff back in the days what you'd be getting in the main event. But no, we got it, and it was a huge, massive disappointment. I'm like, this was so disrespectful to the fans. This was so disrespectful to fans. I feel bad for the fans who wasted their actual money to see this nonsense in person. Dude, like, WWE needs to issue a refund out to the Canadian fans, because this was robbery at this point. Jesus Christ. Like, you're telling me people are paying actual money to see this? I'm glad I'm watching it from home. Imagine actually paying money to go see a show, and this is what WWE delivers you. Oh, God. Jesus. And that was your whole show, for real. Like, for real, that was your whole show. That was your whole entire show. My God. And a show sucks when it feels drawn out. I'm watching it, I'm like, dude, there's no way Smackdown is still going on. Mind you, this is a 2-hour show, and I'm like, there's no way this nonsense is still going on. But anyhow, safe to say, this garbage was trash, and this trash was garbage. Like I said, this episode of Smackdown was literally a dookie sprinkled with glitter and confetti and wrapped in a gift box. You're excited till you open it, till you see it. It was literally dookie wrapped in glitter. This show sucked. This show was garbage. This garbage was trash, and this trash was garbage. Jesus Christ, this show was terrible. Anyhow, though, this show overall, I'd rate it a solid 3 out of 10. I can't rate it anything higher than a 3 out of 10. This was a massive disappointment. This was a huge waste of time, and this was completely skippable. The segments weren't even entertaining. The matches weren't entertaining. The segments weren't important. The matches weren't important. Everything was just skippable on this show. It was just nonsense, dude. Jesus. Like I said, I'm giving this show a generous 3 out of 10. This was terrible. Okay? This was bad. Like, it was hyped up to be so good. You have John Cena showing up. You have him in the main event. It was hyped up. Like, imagine getting your hopes so high and they just get crushed by straight garbage. That's what makes it so much worse. If the show is garbage from the beginning, you're like, it's garbage, and they don't hype it up, you know it's going to be garbage. You know what to expect. But I was expecting so much more. Jesus, and I was just let down so hard. But like I said, this show, solid 3 out of 10, no higher. Okay, it can go lower, but I'm gonna be generous. Solid 3 out of 10, and that's my review, and that's my breakdown for this week's episode of Smackdown. Okay, I hope this video is not too long, but anyhow, though, thank you for showing up, thank you for hearing me out, and thank you for being here. Like, comment, and subscribe if you want to. Like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like to, and like, comment, and subscribe if you choose to. As always, it's been a pleasure. I'm out.